This is Michael Turner from Turner's Travels at Jallianwala Bagh compound. It's now turned into a park. In 1919, there were about 1,500 Indians here listening to their political leaders in how they were going to resist the new act of Parliament that was going to lead to the arrest of anybody who was demonstrating against British rule. Straight into prison, no trial. And Brigadier General Dyer was ordered to come to the park and make an example of all the people that were demonstrating. And he was given vague orders. And I'd like to show you the geography of this park because yesterday I focused on the bullet holes. Today we're looking at the geography. And behind me down the end of this footpath is a very narrow entrance. And there's an exit. But that exit was blocked. Now, Brigadier General Dyer couldn't bring his tank or his machine gun turret vehicle into the park. And just in front of the entrance up there, there is a mark on the ground saying this is the line where the soldiers lined up to shoot 1,550 rounds at about 1,000 demonstrators. The massacre only stopped because the British ran out of bullets. I'm walking along the path and the camera will swing to the right and there's a round building over there with windows and that shows you the well, and people dived in, jumped into that well to escape the bullets. 120 people died as a result. They would have been suffering broken bones, people landing on top of them. And towards the right of that building is a wall with about 35 bullet holes in the bricks. And we're going to turn the camera to the right and go across the park. We're going to look at the other wall on the right. I'm going to turn the camera to the right nice and slowly. And in that right-hand corner there's another section of bullet holes. And you see some bullet holes which are extremely high. And you think, well, the soldiers wouldn't be shooting that high unless they were deliberately trying to miss. But you can work out that it was because people were making human ladders to try and climb over the wall. So they were shot. And they're also shot at the exit, which had been blocked. Now, Brigadier General Dyer was questioned as a result of his actions, and the British authorities, by and large, supported him. Churchill condemned it, and a few other people did, and one man renounced his knighthood. But me being from England, it's quite a shameful experience coming here. I've seen other people from around the world, but I've not met anybody from Britain in here yet. But it's a shameful reminder of the dark aspects of the British Empire. Now, this massacre should have taught us lessons from history, but unfortunately it hasn't. When I was teaching history, I would ask the children, what's the value of teaching history in school? And one of the answers always was, we learn from the mistakes of the past. But the trouble is, history has a tendency, due to human frailties, of repeating itself. And I'm really appalled about the loss of life. If everybody behaved like Mohandas Gandhi would teach us to behave, there wouldn't be any wars and poverty in the world. But killing people for demonstrations for their rights. Remember, Britain came here, took over a nation, enslaved its principles, and said, do as we tell you, otherwise we'll put you in prison in your own country. And Britain was doing this all around the world. Rule Britannia, seeing Britannia on our coins, making us feel proud that we were a great nation. Well, when you look at the underbelly of colonialization, leaving countries poor, it's shameful. But the positive side is there are thousands of Indians happily living amongst us in Britain. History tends to repeat itself. Look what's happening in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, arguing over land. If the Israelis could just give a proportion of their so-called country back to what the Palestinians had in 1946, albeit Israel might be only 10 miles wide, its widest point, international security guaranteed for a two-state solution, in the end everybody could be happy. But I nearly cry when I see and hear on the news 44,000 dead civilians in Gaza because the Israelis are bombing and shooting Palestinians, civilians who just happen to be shields conveniently used by Hamas. So the moral thinking is, should the Israelis kill 44,000 innocent people to get at a few thousand low-grade gunmen? And the results of what's happening is the same response as what Brigadier General Reginald Dyer achieved. Some people supporting him and some people condemning him. The world's condemning Israel by and large for its actions, but condemnation and some trade embargoes isn't solving the problem. Amnesty International is appalled at how the world is standing by watching the massacre of these innocent people. Most people who are dying in Gaza are children aged between 5 and 9 whose lives are snuffed. And ironically, we had a passionate debate in the Houses of Parliament the other day about assisted dying and all the personal stories that MPs was telling us about. But you're looking at a weakness of a law that affects old people, and yet at the same time, this was happening in Gaza. Hundreds of more people were being killed in war. And it just paled into significance about the weakness of allowing assisted dying when we've got thousands losing their lives in Gaza. And I'm talking to you about from 1919 to 2024, how the world just hasn't moved on. We've got terrific technology, you've got the internet, you've got free video calls around the world with WhatsApp, you've got space rockets going to the outer reaches of the universe, you've got terrific advances in medicine, and yet we got this barbaric attitude of man killing man. And it is usually men, as my mum used to say, it's men that start the wars in the world, it's not women. And when I come to this park, seeing history repeating itself over land, power and money, and if the Americans weren't given all this weaponry to Israel, Israel would be forced to change its attitude and be more conciliatory to a two-state solution. Thanks for listening.